Ladies and gentlemen, India's first air defense system export marks a monumental step in the evolution of Indian defense exports. For decades, India was largely dependent on foreign nations for its military hardware, often importing from countries like Russia, the United States, France, and Israel. However, recent years have seen a deliberate and determined pivot. The Make in India initiative, launched with a clear vision to promote indigenous manufacturing, has finally begun bearing fruit, and the defense sector is one of its shining success stories. The export of an air defense system is not just about selling military hardware, it's about trust, it's about technological credibility, it's about global recognition. To export such a high-grade military system means India is now seen as a reliable, capable, and sophisticated defense manufacturer. Countries only buy defense systems from nations they trust with their security. This move places India in a new league alongside global defense powerhouses like the USA, Russia, and Israel. What makes this development even more historic is that air defense systems are complex, multi-layered, and require immense technological integration from radar and tracking systems to command and control algorithms and lethal interceptors. For India to not only develop such a system, but also earn global confidence to export it, speaks volumes of the vision, innovation, and persistence of its defense research institutions like DRDO, and private manufacturers working in tandem with the Indian Armed Forces. This export also showcases India's growing geopolitical influence. Defense exports are never purely transactional, they signify deepening strategic partnerships. Nations importing Indian defense equipment are building long-term relationships that may include joint exercises, technological exchange, and coordinated defense strategies. It's a silent but powerful shift in global power dynamics, and India is becoming a key player. Economically, this is a massive win. Defense exports bring in high revenue, create high-skilled jobs, and foster a robust ecosystem of innovation. As Indian companies begin to cater to foreign demands, they elevate the quality of local production standards and encourage further investment in R/D. This creates a ripple effect that boosts multiple sectors: manufacturing, electronics, software, logistics, and education. Culturally and psychologically, this export is a statement. It says India is no longer just a consumer on the global stage. It's a creator, a leader, and a visionary. It inspires a new generation of engineers, scientists, defense experts, and entrepreneurs to believe that they can build for the world, not just for the nation. It redefines what's possible when faith, innovation, and national pride converge. Moreover, Indian defense exports, particularly of systems as advanced as air defense, are rooted in the principle of ethical security. India has always stood for peace, but peace backed by strength. Exporting defense systems doesn't mean promoting war. It means enabling responsible nations to protect themselves, much like India does with restraint, dignity, and purpose. This milestone also answers a deeper calling the faith that our forefathers placed in a self-reliant India. It's the realization of dreams once seen by visionaries like Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, who believed in the power of indigenous innovation. It's proof that with consistent effort, strategic vision, and divine favor, even the most ambitious dreams can take flight. As this export takes off, so does a new chapter for India, one where the nation doesn't just defend its borders, but helps the world defend peace, stability, and sovereignty. This is not just a sale, it's a signal. India has arrived, and it's here to lead. India's air defense system has long been a cornerstone of its national security infrastructure, but today it stands as a symbol of something even greater: global recognition. With the first ever export of an Indian-made air defense system, the phrase Air Defense System India now represents not only self-reliance but international trust and technological maturity. This development isn't just about hardware or contracts, it's about how far India has come in building a self-sustaining, export-ready defense ecosystem. The concept of air defense revolves around detecting, tracking, intercepting, and neutralizing aerial threats from fighter jets to ballistic missiles and unmanned drones. Traditionally, India relied on systems like the Russian-made S-400 or the Israeli Spider for such operations. But a massive shift began under the umbrella of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India, where the aim was to create indigenous systems that meet not only India's military requirements but also the standards of international buyers. The export of India's own air defense system validates years of this hard work. This system isn't just a product of one lab or agency, it's a result of national collaboration. Organizations like DRDO Defense Research and Development Organization, Bharat Electronics Limited BEL, and several private Indian defense startups contributed in tandem. From sophisticated radar systems and HICE, bead data processing to real-time threat analysis and interceptor missile technology, the Indian air defense system integrates world-class innovation with operational reliability. Its export signals to the world that India is now a capable and dependable supplier of critical defense technology. But this isn't just a defense success story, it's a broader narrative about economic growth, global influence, and strategic positioning. By entering the air defense export market, India taps into a multi-billion-dollar industry traditionally dominated by the U.S., Russia, China, and a handful of European nations. Air Defense System India becomes a keyword that opens doors for diplomatic influence, trade alliances, and strategic partnerships. Buyers of Indian defense tech aren't just customers, they become long-term allies. Moreover, the export of this system reflects India's growing capability in command and control infrastructure, which is the nervous system of any modern military. The fact that India can build, operationalize, and now export such systems means its defense technologies are reliable under pressure battlefield, proven and built to last. This creates global credibility that India never had before in this domain. On the domestic front, this move energizes the entire ecosystem. When a country begins exporting something as complex as an air defense system, it means jobs are being created, knowledge is being shared, and new generations of engineers and scientists are getting inspired. It's not just a sale, it's a signal to every student in a STEM classroom that what they build tomorrow could be protecting nations across the globe. Furthermore, this milestone aligns deeply with India's philosophy of responsible power. India has always advocated for peace, but peace through strength. By exporting air defense systems, India is helping other nations protect themselves, not invade others. This is about creating a safer, more stable world by enabling self-defense, not aggression. It's a unique position that differentiates India from other arms exporters. The world is watching, and the export of India's air defense system is just the beginning. It paves the way for future collaborations, tech upgrades, and broader defense exports from drones and missiles to satellite-based systems. Each success adds to India's credibility, and with each step, the keyword Air Defense System India grows stronger in both meaning and impact. This isn't just a defense development, it's a national achievement. It's a moment when India doesn't just defend its skies, but shares that strength with the world. It's a moment of faith, vision, and the unstoppable rise of Indian capability. The phrase "Make in India Defense" has transformed from a slogan into a revolutionary force that's now making headlines around the world. With the successful export of India's first air defense system, this vision has taken flight quite literally. It is no longer just about manufacturing weapons at home, it's about shaping India into a global defense manufacturing hub, driven by innovation, resilience, and national pride. Make in India Defense began as a bold initiative aimed at reducing dependency on foreign military imports. For decades, India was one of the world's largest importers of arms. Despite having some of the brightest scientific minds and a vast industrial workforce, the country lacked the infrastructure, policy support, and long-term vision to produce its own high-end defense systems. But all of that has started to change. India is no longer just a buyer of cutting-edge military technology, it is now a creator, a supplier, and most importantly, a trusted partner in the global defense industry. The recent export of India's first air defense system is a landmark moment that embodies everything the Make in India defense movement stands for. Air defense systems are among the most complex forms of military hardware, requiring high levels of coordination between radar units, tracking systems, interceptor missiles, and command control algorithms. To build such a system domestically and then have it accepted and purchased by another country is a milestone that places India in a select group of nations capable of such feats. This achievement didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of relentless effort by India's defense sector, led by organizations like the Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO, Bharat Electronics Limited BL, and a growing number of private defense startups. These agencies work together to design, test, and produce indigenous systems capable of competing with the best in the world. The export proves that Indian-made equipment is not only operationally effective, but also globally trusted. Beyond the hardware, Make in India defense is about empowering the economy. Defense manufacturing is a high-skill sector. Every new system built creates a ripple effect. It means more engineers employed, more local industries engaged, more research institutions funded, and more skilled workers trained. Defense exports bring in critical foreign exchange, but they also send a powerful message to the world that India is ready to be a leader, not just a participant. Politically and diplomatically, this export is a strategic masterstroke. Defense exports deepen bilateral relationships. They create lasting ties between countries, often involving shared training programs, maintenance contracts, and technology upgrades over the years. When a nation purchases a defense system from another, it's not just buying metal and code, it's buying trust, partnership, and future collaboration. India, through this export, is showing the world that it is a nation to rely on, a nation that delivers, and a nation that leads with integrity. The psychological impact at home is just as powerful. The Indian people can now look to the skies and know that what protects them is made by them. There is immense pride in knowing that what once came from abroad is now built in Indian labs on Indian soil with Indian minds. And now, that very system is protecting skies elsewhere. This is the dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India that not only meets its own needs but serves the world. Make in India defense is no longer a policy. It's a movement, a mindset, and a mission. The first air defense export is just the beginning. With each new system, with every international contract, India carves out its space as a global powerhouse in defense technology. And as this journey continues, one thing is clear: India will not just keep pace with the world, it will lead it. Indian military technology has entered a transformative era, marked by bold innovation, strategic vision, and growing international recognition. One of the most powerful examples of this transformation is the historic milestone of India exporting its first air defense system. This achievement is more than a commercial deal. It's a symbol of India's emergence as a credible, technologically advanced defense power on the global stage. The phrase *Indian military technology* now stands for strength, self-reliance, and rising influence. For decades, India heavily relied on imports to bolster its military capabilities, often sourcing weapons and systems from countries like Russia, Israel, France, and the United States. But this dependency came with vulnerabilities. Costs were high, supply chains were uncertain, and strategic autonomy was limited. Recognizing the need for change, India began investing heavily in its indigenous defense sector. Institutions like DRDO Defense Research and Development Organization, ISRO, Bell, and private defense startups have played a pivotal role in shifting the nation's status from an importer to an innovator. The export of an Indian developed air defense system is a direct result of this sustained investment and ambition. Such systems are among the most complex military platforms, requiring seamless integration of radar, tracking algorithms, interception missiles, real-time communication systems, and command, control centers. Developing this capability at home and then exporting it signals that Indian military technology has not only caught up with global standards, but in some areas is setting new benchmarks. What makes this export even more significant is the trust it reflects. A nation purchasing an air defense system from India isn't just buying hardware. It's placing faith in Indian engineering, reliability, and long-term support. That kind of trust is earned through consistency, testing, and proven results. India's ability to deliver that trust shows the maturity and competence of its military technology ecosystem. Indian military technology is now driven by a focus on modularity, interoperability, and cost efficiency, three qualities highly valued by global buyers. Whether it's the Akash missile system, the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile developed in partnership with Russia, the Tejas light combat aircraft, or satellite-based surveillance and navigation systems, India is proving that it can create high-performance systems at competitive costs. These are not just military tools. They're strategic assets that reinforce India's diplomatic influence and defense diplomacy. The export of the air defense system has also inspired renewed confidence within the country. It encourages young engineers, scientists, and defense professionals to believe in their potential. It sends a message that their work isn't just theoretical or limited to national service, it's of global value. In classrooms, research labs, and workshops across India, a new generation is now dreaming bigger because they see what's possible when vision meets execution. From a strategic perspective, this success aligns with India's broader goal of becoming a net defense exporter. By 2025, India aims to achieve defense exports worth $5 billion. The air defense export is a vital step in that journey. It opens doors to new markets in Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. It also sets the stage for future collaborations, joint production, technology transfers, and innovation partnerships with other nations. Most importantly, Indian military technology today reflects a balance of tradition and transformation. It carries the spirit of India's ancient warrior culture while being firmly rooted in cutting-edge science and engineering. It's powered by both the wisdom of experience and the boldness of youth. The successful export of India's air defense system is a turning point. It's not just about one system or one sale, it's about a nation that dared to dream beyond dependency and is now shaping its destiny with its own hands. Indian military technology is no longer just about defending borders, it's about defining the future. The ** defense industry India * is no longer a silent player on the global stage. It is now a rising force, a strategic asset, and a symbol of the nation's technological maturity and sovereign strength. With the historic export of India's first air defense system, the spotlight is now fully on what India is building, developing, and delivering to the world. This moment is not just about one sale. It is about the arrival of India as a serious contender in the global defense export arena. For decades, India's defense industry was largely state-run and import-dependent. The bulk of military equipment, from fighter jets and missiles to tanks and radar systems, came from external suppliers, leading to enormous costs and strategic vulnerabilities. But that narrative is changing. With a renewed vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India, and bold government policies encouraging defense manufacturing, India has been systematically reshaping its defense ecosystem. Now that transformation is yielding real, measurable outcomes, and the export of the air defense system is a defining example. This export demonstrates that India is no longer content with just protecting its borders. It is now contributing to global peace and security by offering advanced, cost-effective, and battle-tested systems to partner nations. The system in question includes a sophisticated radar and missile network capable of intercepting airborne threats with high precision, a feat that only a few countries in the world have achieved indigenously. The fact that another nation has invested in this Indian-made platform is a strong vote of confidence in India's design, engineering, and operational credibility. This accomplishment is not the result of one organization alone. It reflects the collective capability of India's expanding defense industrial base. Public sector units like DRDO Defense Research and Development Organization, Bharat Electronics Limited BL, and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited HEL have led the charge. But increasingly, private firms, SMEs, and startups are also playing crucial roles in components manufacturing, simulation technology, and systems integration. These collaborations are creating a vibrant, layered ecosystem that strengthens not just the military, but the economy as a whole. One of the most significant shifts in India's defense industry is the emergence of strong policies aimed at promoting indigenous innovation. The Defense Acquisition Procedure (DAP), the introduction of positive indigenization lists, and the setting up of defense industrial corridors are not just buzzwords. They are part of a well-orchestrated plan to make India a global hub for defense manufacturing and exports. With this export, that plan is no longer just on paper, it's airborne. The global defense market is highly competitive and trust-driven. Countries do not invest in military platforms unless they are convinced of their effectiveness, sustainability, and political reliability. India's entry into this space is not only about revenue, it's about influence. Every exported radar system, missile, or drone expands India's strategic footprint. It deepens diplomatic ties, builds defense partnerships, and opens doors to joint exercises, training programs, and long-term logistical relationships. Furthermore, the growth of the Indian defense industry has powerful domestic implications. It fosters job creation in high-tech fields, drives STEM education and R/D, and attracts foreign direct investment in defense-related sectors. For every rupee spent on building a missile or radar locally, several rupees are circulated back into the national economy through employment, infrastructure, and innovation. Ultimately, the defense industry in India is no longer just a component of national security. It is a pillar of national pride, growth, and global influence. The export of India's air defense system is not an end, it's a beginning. It is the launchpad for a new India, one that is confident, capable, and ready to lead. This is the future of India's defense journey, not only defending our skies but also helping protect the skies of friendly nations. Not only building for ourselves but building for the world. The defense industry India is taking off, and this flight has no ceiling. India's journey toward becoming a major player in the global defense sector took a historic turn with the successful export of its first indigenous air defense system. This monumental step is more than a commercial success, it's a declaration that *** indigenous weapons export ** is no longer a dream for India, but a powerful and emerging reality. For decades, India was known primarily as one of the world's largest importers of military equipment. Today, the country is making headlines for exporting high-tech, homegrown defense solutions to international partners, proving that India's strategic capabilities are now export-worthy and globally competitive. The significance of exporting an indigenous air defense system cannot be overstated. Air defense systems are complex military architectures that combine detection, tracking, interception, and communication into a seamless command structure. To design and manufacture such a system domestically is an achievement in itself, but to export it, convincing another sovereign nation to invest its national security in your technology, is a clear indicator of trust, reliability, and proven performance. India has not only built these systems for self-defense, but has now stepped onto the global platform to support the defense needs of allies and partners. This export is a direct result of India's long-term investment in self-reliance and indigenous innovation. Organizations like DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization, have worked tirelessly for decades to reduce India's dependence on foreign technology. With projects like the Akash missile system, Tejas fighter aircraft, BrahMos missile, and now the air defense export, DRDO and its partners have proven that world-class capability can be developed within Indian borders using Indian talent. The success also showcases the growing synergy between India's public and private sectors in defense production. While government institutions laid the groundwork, private companies, both large and small, have played a key role in components, integration, and support systems. This collaborative ecosystem has made it possible for India to produce cutting-edge equipment at a competitive price, making indigenous weapons exports both economically and strategically attractive to foreign buyers. India's entry into the global arms market through indigenous exports represents a strategic shift in geopolitics. Every exported missile system, radar, or drone not only strengthens India's economy, but also builds long-term defense relationships. These exports open doors for joint exercises, shared intelligence, maintenance support, and future co-development opportunities. In a world increasingly shaped by alliances and defense diplomacy, India's growing role as an exporter boosts its strategic influence and soft power. What makes indigenous weapons export particularly powerful is that it embodies the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. It sends a strong message to the world: India is not just a buyer, it is a builder. And more importantly, it is a builder whose products meet global standards of performance, safety, and reliability. The pride associated with Made in India is no longer just about consumer goods. It now extends to some of the most sophisticated defense systems in the world. From an economic standpoint, defense exports contribute to job creation, skill development, and technological advancement within the country. Every radar unit exported, every missile sold abroad, every command control module delivered to a foreign ally, supports hundreds of engineers, technicians, logistics personnel, and researchers back home. It boosts indigenous supply chains, encourages innovation, and brings in valuable foreign exchange. The export of India's first air defense system is just the beginning. It marks the opening chapter of a new era where India no longer stands on the sidelines of the global defense marketplace, but competes with established powers. It's not just about selling weapons. It's about exporting trust, expertise, and a vision of shared security. The world is watching, and with every successful indigenous weapons export, India is not only defending itself, but shaping the future of global defense partnerships. India's strategic growth is now unmistakably reflected in its leap into the elite club of defense exporting nations. With the historic export of its first indigenous air defense system, India has not just achieved a technological milestone, it has redefined its global posture and national narrative. This is more than a transaction. This is a signal to the world that India's strategic trajectory is upward, deliberate, and deeply rooted in self-reliance, innovation, and geopolitical clarity. For decades, India's defense procurement was primarily import-oriented. Whether it was aircraft, artillery, or missile systems, the country largely depended on international suppliers to meet its security demands. But the strategic cost of this dependency was heavy. Delays, inflated costs, lack of technological control, and vulnerability in times of diplomatic strain. Recognizing this, India made a decisive shift toward building its own strategic backbone. The result: an ecosystem that is now capable not only of meeting domestic requirements but of exporting cutting-edge technology to friendly nations. This is India's strategic growth in motion. At the heart of this transformation is a comprehensive national vision, Atmanirbhar Bharat self-reliant India. This vision is not just about manufacturing locally, it's about being globally competitive in critical sectors, especially defense. The successful export of an indigenous air defense system marks the execution of that vision with precision. The air defense system, equipped with multi-target tracking radars, interceptors, and command networks, is a result of years of R/D, rigorous testing, and strategic alignment between government, industry, and the armed forces. It embodies India's rise as a producer, not just a consumer, of advanced military technology. India's strategic growth is also rooted in its diplomatic foresight. Exporting a defense system is not just an economic act, it is a geopolitical message. It signals trust, alignment, and strategic partnership with the importing nation. With every system exported, India gains influence, it gains leverage, and it earns a voice in regional and global security dialogues. Defense exports are now a tool of India's soft power and foreign policy, supporting the country's broader strategic ambitions in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. Behind this milestone lies the emergence of a dynamic defense industrial base. Organizations like DRDO, Bharat Electronics Limited BL, and private players like Larsen and Toubro and Tata Advanced Systems are central to this shift. Startups and SMEs are increasingly involved, supported by policies like the Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy DPEP, offset requirements, and FDA reforms. These are not just policy buzzwords, they are real instruments accelerating India's strategic growth by aligning innovation, production, and export under one unified goal. The success of this export also has a strong economic and employment dimension. Strategic growth is not limited to geopolitics. It trickles down to jobs in engineering, electronics, logistics, and maintenance. It fuels infrastructure development, brings foreign revenue, and enhances skills that are transferable across sectors. Defense exports contribute directly to India's GDP, and more importantly, they reinforce national confidence, a belief that India can produce world-class solutions for the most complex challenges. Strategic growth also means resilience. India's ability to design, produce, and now export air defense systems enhances its preparedness in times of crisis. It ensures that national security is not held hostage to foreign politics or supply chain disruptions. In a multipolar world where tensions can escalate unpredictably, self-reliant defense capability is no longer optional, it's essential, and exporting that capability to allies adds another layer to India's strategic deterrence and regional stability. In the bigger picture, this export is more than a sale, it's a statement that India's strategic maturity has arrived, a statement that the nation is ready not just to defend its own skies, but to help secure those of its allies. It marks the ascent of a confident, capable India, one whose strategic growth is no longer potential, but proof. The rise of India in the ** global arms market * is no longer a prediction. It's a reality, marked decisively by the recent milestone of India's first air defense system export. This achievement is not just about selling weapons or military hardware. It symbolizes a tectonic shift in India's position on the global geopolitical and industrial map. For a country that was once predominantly dependent on foreign suppliers for its defense needs, becoming a competitive exporter in the global arms trade is a testament to India's ambition, innovation, and strategic evolution. For years, the global arms market has been dominated by a few major players, primarily the United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom. These countries not only supplied weapons, but also shaped international military alliances and defense strategies through those exports. India's entry into this club brings a new dimension, a rising democratic power with indigenous capabilities, strategic restraint, and a track record of responsible defense partnerships. The export of an Indian-made air defense system is proof that India can build, test, and now sell systems that are trusted internationally for their reliability, affordability, and effectiveness. India's defense export journey didn't begin overnight. It is the result of decades of groundwork laid by institutions like DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bharat Electronics, and now an increasing number of private sector partners and startups. These institutions, supported by strong government policy, have built a robust ecosystem of research, manufacturing, and quality control. This system now feeds into the global arms supply chain, not as a contractor, but as an independent developer and exporter of indigenous technology. India's air defense system export is particularly significant because air defense is a highly complex and sensitive domain. It requires integration of advanced radar systems, real-time tracking, missile launch and interception capabilities, and robust command and control frameworks. For any foreign country to invest in such a system, it must trust the exporting country's ability to deliver precision, reliability, and security. That trust has now been placed in India, and it is a major win in terms of credibility in the international defense arena. Moreover, India's participation in the global arms market is marked by strategic and ethical considerations. Unlike some major exporters, India's defense deals are not tied to aggressive geopolitical ambitions. Instead, India offers defense solutions as part of peaceful cooperation, mutual security, and regional stability. This approach makes India a preferred partner for countries that want to modernize their defense without becoming pawns in superpower rivalries. The implications for the Indian economy are profound. As India grows its footprint in the global arms market, it opens up new revenue streams, creates high-value jobs, and boosts ancillary industries such as electronics, metallurgy, logistics, and software development. Defense exports also incentivize innovation and help reduce the unit cost of domestically used weapons systems. This strengthens India's own military while also making its offerings more attractive to international buyers. This success is also reshaping India's diplomatic relationships. Countries in Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America are increasingly looking to diversify their defense suppliers. India, with its reputation for reliability and transparency, stands as a strong alternative to traditional arms exporters. Defense cooperation is becoming a central pillar of India's bilateral ties, and each successful export deepens strategic trust. India's expanding presence in the global arms market, it is not just about selling hardware, it's about exporting strength, technology, and trust. The export of the indigenous air defense system marks the beginning of a new era, where India is not merely consuming global innovation, but contributing to it. It is building a legacy as a peace-focused power with the technological muscle to make a global impact. This isn't just about India stepping onto the world stage, it's about India helping shape it.